Accountability. It's one of the things that sales managers and sales leaders often get wrong. They're using a stick instead of a carrot. There's lots of different ways of looking at this, but we want to start off by getting it right in the first place. We can't have accountability unless we're clear about what it is that we want them to do. So we need to give them some KPIs that drive certain behaviors that get us to where we want to go with revenue. And we need to set those expectations and get them to agree to it. Right. And to be able to do that, set the expectations, we need to have some goals that the individual wants to achieve. So the way I run a goals workshop, there's some detail involved in this, but at a very high level, you're going to work with them to figure out what it is that they want to achieve on and we're looking for some kind of long-term financial objective. Maybe they want to buy a boat. Maybe they want to buy a big boat. Maybe they want to buy a cottage or a lake house. Maybe they're looking to put their kid through school, right? Which is probably more expensive than all of those things. So what we want to do is get that number. So maybe it takes them 2 years or 3 years to save the money to be able to buy the boat or the cottage. So to do that, they need to do certain things. Those become our expectations. You need to make a certain amount of outbound calls. You got to keep your pipeline a certain weight. You need to be able to have the right amount of deals moving at a certain velocity, right? We're going to set those expectations that are tied to our needs. And then we're going to create accountability around that. So an accountability meeting is something that we coach. We want them to have an accountability meeting with you once a month, at least. Once a month. At the beginning of the month, it's calendared. It can be 15 to 20 minute long meeting. Because if they're hitting their numbers, the meeting is very short. It's like, hey, Bob, it looks like you hit your number again for the third month in a row. This is amazing. I took a look at your pipeline. That looks solid. Looks like you're going to do this again. Keep up the good work. And you can be done. If somebody's performing, let's not beat them over the head. Let's give them the praise that they need, ask them if they need some help, and move on. You can be done in 5 minutes. If they haven't hit their number, they missed it, or they haven't hit it in a while, right? The conversation changes. Bob, you haven't hit your number in 2 months, and your pipeline looks okay, but I'm concerned that we're not having consistency. So let's take a look at your pipeline and figure out what's there and what we can move forward and where you need help. So the conversation becomes bigger, and we're looking at what they're working on, and making sure that they're following our process. But if they haven't hit their number in a while, 3 months, it's a long time for them not to hit their number, and their pipeline, that hygiene there looks awful. They don't have enough in there. There's a bunch of bloat in their pipeline. Then we have to say something to this individual. Look, you're not hitting your revenue number. You're not, your pipeline isn't where it's supposed to be. So I'm really concerned here. And I don't want you to fail, Bob. So we're going to have to look at what you're doing on a daily, weekly basis. And we're going to have to look at what you're saying. So we're going to go into a bigger conversation. And you might get some people that push back and say, oh, that's, micromanaging. No, it's not. Because we had an agreement that they were going to do certain things and they didn't do them. So we're going to help them. Or we're going to help them out, one or the other. They know this meeting's on the calendar. They know it's coming, so they should be prepared. And if they're not giving you what you're looking for, and they're not asking for help, and they're struggling. I mean, if somebody's struggling and they're asking for help and they're trying to get better, I'm all in. I'll work with that person, right? And there's a limit, but I will work with that person. But if they're not doing the work and they're not putting it down and picking it up, you got the wrong person, and you need to change that. So that accountability framework, start with something big that you can leverage, something that they want. So you can say, you got to do the calls because you want the boat, right? And then we have that agreement because they want the boat. And then we have our accountability framework that we're going to use to manage this. And it's very simple. It doesn't take a lot of time. You just have to be prepared. So put that to work, put that into place, start working on it. Start looking for those opportunities. Have some fun with this and use the carrot. It's much more fun than the stick. All right? Thanks.